Hello everybody, it's me, Dana. The other day I was shuffling my fairy card deck and then I was distracted. I was going to do something else and then the cards just jumped out and these three cards distinctly said, pay attention. So here's what those cards up from the fairy deck. Um, the Heart of Faerie Oracle deck. If you have the same deck, you'll know what I'm talking about. The messages are always very, very quite significant, I find. So the first card that I looked at was the number 27, the Sorcerer. And I'll read from the deck book because it's quite extensive and they have very distinct messages. The Sorcerer, interesting help, true magic, consequences. Look at this person. Are you surprised? He is such a dull little man. Funny hat, funny nose, big ears, not paying the slightest bit of attention to you. You would think. Look again. There he is, nestled in the tree roots, listening, thinking, just about to move. And when he does, you might want to duck. Sometimes the most powerful beings appear to be the most insignificant. The Sorcerer is one of those beings. He doesn't create flashy illusions, and he doesn't astound with feats of magic. But you need to call on a powerful being as you travel in fairy. He is the one to seek out. Approach him with caution. He is not really concerned with the everyday struggles and endeavors of fairy, let alone the human world. He works for his own ends, but he may help you if it suits his purpose. Think carefully before you ask him for anything. His help could have interesting consequences in the future. If you meet him, it might be best to nod respectfully and pass on. On the other hand, when he turns up, you may know exactly what you need to ask for. If you have an intuitive flash about why the two of you have come together, then by all means, ask your question and see what happens, as long as you are prepared for the consequences. Very interesting card. And as I looked at it, it reminded me of, several people that have kind of crossed my path. And they're always the quiet ones. They're there, and most people don't pay too much attention to them. But I always see them, and I always notice them, and they always notice me noticing them. There's power in that, because every living being on this planet is contributing something. And the more of them that you acknowledge and accept, the greater team of peace, harmony, and networking you have. Because there's so many on this planet that have not felt acknowledged or accepted. And when they do receive that, you'd be amazed at their resourcefulness and abilities to give back to you and acknowledge and accept what it is you need. Whenever you acknowledge and accept someone else, you warm up the planet, okay? That's adjusting the AC. That's what I'm talking about. Most people attack and criticize. That's why it's cold on the planet and has been for centuries. Now we are acknowledging and accepting each other and complementing and co-creating. We have adjusted the AC plan. We're warming things up. and it's just going to get more and more beautiful as we keep rolling along. The magic is happening. You know it, you feel it, you sense it. There's a difference on the planet. There's a difference in how you feel and look at the world. Acknowledge it, accept it, and embrace this beautiful light power. Okay? The next card that came up was number 32, the Fairy of Youth. And I mean, that's essential, because if we're starting fresh and we're starting new, we have to look at things through the eyes of young, fresh, limitless possibilities. Enthusiasm, limitless ability, positive expectations, right? Now, if you can have an empty palette, an empty canvas, make sure you got positive expectations about what you're creating. And that goes for the canvas of your life. All right? Always positive expectations. Yes, there is contrast, and things don't always go exactly as you wanted, but life doesn't go by a script. It's about an ever-changing, ever-evolving energy. And it's about enjoying playing in the energies. You create and attract certain energies. So you get to decide which ones you're playing and maneuvering in. Okay? If you don't like being in the sad, yucky, sticky, whoa, bring me down, nothing but worry and woe energies and stress and fear, well, then you got to get your energy up here into life is fantastic, life is beautiful. Oh my God, do you not see how much wonder and amazement and beauty is happening? Haven't you been outside lately? Haven't you been talking to those new creative people in town? Aren't you excited about what's unfolding as the old shit falls away? Sometimes it's important to see things through the youthful eyes of this fairy. As we grow older, we tend to lose the sense of wonder that we had as children. Children often believe that anything is possible. When our son Toby was a child, he knew that both Brian and I were very good at making things. Costumes, toys, puppet theaters, castles, elaborate birthday cakes. He assumed that we could make anything, and because of his expectations, we tried harder and found that, indeed, we could make almost anything he could imagine. Huh, see, when you take off the I can't, you can. I know that people reading this will think, well, of course you can make things. That's what you do. But that's not the point. No, we can all do it, all of us. The point is, we didn't know we could do it until we looked at the situation the way Toby was seeing it. When we looked at it with a sense of wonder and put aside our preconceived ideas about limitations, we found that we could do far more than we thought we could. This applies to everyone. Approach things with youthful enthusiasm and a child's assumption of limitless abilities, and you may find that you too can do things you never imagined possible. Why limit yourself? Well, you've been told to. You've been told not to dream. Don't daydream and be lazy, because that's not contributing to society. Well, society hasn't been contributing much to my happiness and joy, so I'm going to tune them out for a while and contribute to that myself and maybe change some of the silly, ridiculous rules of society. How about that? It's a new world. I can imagine beautiful things. That's one of the beautiful things in my imagination. Number 40. The Lady of the Leprechauns. I'm excited to see what she's got to say because I think they've been hanging around. Number 40. The Ladies. Clear sight, foreknowledge, Fairy gifts. I can relate to this lady. And many of you out there are experiencing this too. You're just knowing and sensing things prior to them happening or as they're going on. And as you check it, you know it. Okay, some of you are just, you kind of think it, right? Well, that's it, okay? When you kind of think something, well, check on it and then confirm it, and then now believe it even more. And the more you believe it, the more you know it, the more is happening. So you're tuning in, you're able to have some prophetic knowledge, knowing about things slightly before they're happening. If I can do it, you can do it. Who is the Lady of Leprechauns? To begin to understand this lady, we must look at those whom she protects, the leprechauns themselves. They are tricky beings, sometimes helpful, sometimes misleading, and tellers of tall tales. Kind of like humans. The leprechaun can be surprised, caught, and very rarely convinced to give up a pot of gold to the lucky captor. It is a rare and lucky person indeed who keeps what the leprechaun is forced to give up. If the leprechauns are tricky, their lady is even more so. She holds gifts of fairy in both hands, gifts of knowledge of the future and of clear sight. The crystal ball represents knowledge of the future. Many of us would give a great deal to know what the future holds, and yet such knowledge can be dangerous. The gift of clear sight might be a wiser choice, for who does not want to see life clearly? The crystal horn is faceted. You can see through only one faucet at a time, each giving a different view of the same thing. What to choose? Remember that her gifts are not what they appear to be. Knowledge of the future and clear sight, offered by someone as tricky as this lady, may be no more than a glittering illusion. If you come upon this lady, think carefully about what you wish for. You may be wiser to thank her and walk away empty-handed. The choice is yours. Interesting. So, what I'm getting from this is sometimes when we are following our heart, and we're going forward, someone in our life might suddenly start offering us things that we wish they would have offered before, or we kind of hinted at before, and then all of a sudden they're showing up and offering these things and kind of trying to deter you from what you were just about so excited about. So be careful of the gifts that some people may show up into your world if they are deterring you from following your heart. And that's kind of a message through here. The fairy of youth is following her heart and believing in her limitless abilities and looking at the world that way. And more of us need to learn to know how to do that. Now, there are other beings that are in our world that have been around longer that may think that, yeah, okay, that's fun for a little while, but, and then you got to get back to the real world. But what if you are the one or among the team who are here to change the reality of the world and make it a more beautiful place? So, take all of that beautiful information from the fairies this week and sit with that and enjoy. Happy May 5th, 2014. Smiles to all of you. It's me.